Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Rolling with the Punches. Today, we are coming at you from Tijuana, Mexico, with the largest boxing promoter, in our opinion, of Mexico, Fernando Beltran of Zanfer Boxing Promotions. Welcome, and we're going to pass it to the host out there in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, David Contreras. Who
Fernando,
is Fernando Beltran?
Fernando, what an honor it is to have you on our show. I was telling Jaime earlier that I remember when I'm older than you. I'm 60 years old. I know you're much younger than me, but I remember when I was a little boy, actually not a little boy, but growing up, watching Julio Cesar Chavez. I watched all of his fights. My father and I, we would sit every Saturday night and watch boxing on Channel 12 or Wide World of Sports. And I remember as the years went on, you would come out as a little boy with Julio Cesar Chavez. I see a little boy, you were maybe 13, 14 years old. And whenever Chavez fought, I would always look for you in the ring. And as time went on, all of a sudden I go, oh my God, that little boy's turning into a man now. And you started growing and you became a man. And now you're the CEO, the founder of Zanfer Boxing. And that's why the show today is entitled, Who is Fernando Beltran? Tell us a little bit, Fernando, about when you started, what brought you to boxing, and how you got involved in boxing, if you don't mind.
Well, first of all, it's a real pleasure to be with you guys. Honestly, thank you for the opportunity to talk and remember everything about my career. I started sponsoring an amateur fighter, Juan Manuel Garcia, a long time ago. My first show was on September 6, 1993. And what I did is I started sponsoring an amateur fighter, and I wanted to make his pro debut. So here, it was like not a monopoly, but it was only two promoters who used to do shows. It was Guillermo Mayen and Ignacio Huizar. So both guys told me he needs to sign a promotional contract, otherwise he's not gonna be able to be on the show. So I said, why? So why he needs to sign? He needs to see his opportunities and everything. So what I did is I said, well, how difficult is to do a show? Well, I realized it was very difficult because I went and do on September 6th. 1993, my first show, it was a real failure. I put Julio Cesar Herrera, El Niño Asesino, on the main event against Bombardero Felix, and I put Juan Manuel Garcia, El Piston Garcia, who used to work in our family business as a mechanical. So it was a failure, but then what I did is to start like looking, what can I do? I was also a big fan of Julio Cesar Chavez, like you said, big fan when I was in junior high and everything. And I follow most of his career. And one of my biggest thing was to be his interpreter in his last fight, and in the Camacho fight. I was in the stands, and then I went down to the ring to be his interpreter against Constantin Tsiu, his last title fight. So what I did is when you fail in something, you want a revenge. You want to come back. Yes. And you want to do it better. So what I did is I scheduled another show, and Eric Morales look up for me and says, I want to be in your show. So I started with Eric Morales. We started at the same time. I did in 1993 a show with Eric, and he was my fighter. He developed as a fighter. I developed as a promoter. So that's my story. I started with Eric Morales. I started from the big door with one of the best fighters that ever lived in Mexico, Eric El Terrible Morales, who's a great fighter.
Fernando,
then I started doing shows, more shows.
Yeah, Fernando, how old were you in 1993 when you said your first show? How old were you?
I was 24
years old. And then how old were you when you started managing fighters?
When I started managing fighters, it was in 93 at that age. At that age, I started in 1995. We did a strategic partnership with Bob Arum, with Top Rank. So we went international with Eric Morales. And then I was the first Mexican promoter who had 4 world champions at the 4 world Mexican champions at the same time. It was Eric, Cesar Bazan, WBC lightweight champion, Jorge Travieso Arce, and Luis Ramon Jory Boy Campos. Those were the 4.
Do you happen to know how old Bob Arum was when he started his promotional company by any chance?
No, but he started in 65, I think. He's 89 now. Started in 65. Wow. He was a Harvard Law School graduate already.
Yeah.
So he was, I know he was older than me when I started.
You know,
Fernando,
yeah, go ahead, Jaime.
No, I was going to ask him, Fernando, when did Jose Luis Castillo and Eric Ortiz and Ulises Solis, when did they come into the picture during your promotional reign?
Well, when you have a fighter like Eric Morales, who was my first champion in 1997, September 6th of 1997, it was my anniversary, 5 years in the promotional, 4 years in the promotional business. He conquered the WBC title. And when you have a champion, most fighters, the way that I used to promote him, because I was not, I dedicate 24/7 to this sport, and I love this sport, and I was dedicated 24/7. So what I did is I was taking him to the newspapers, to the television stations, to everywhere. So all the fighters started looking at me like, oh, I want to have a promoter like him who take care of his fighters, who is really on charge of everything. And what I think I started scouting a couple of fighters. And Castillo was always the sparring partner of Julio Cesar Chavez. And I was in his training camp sometimes. And so I saw Castillo. I knew his quality. Unfortunately, his record didn't say much because of the losses that he's got. But I knew that Castillo was a great fighter. Eric Ortiz also, he was in Mexico City. I used to see him in the press conferences and everything. He told me, give me an opportunity. Ulises Solis, it was his brother, Jorge Solis and Ulises Solis. They were from Guadalajara. And I started scouting them because Cholain Rivero, the trainer of Oscar de la Hoya, the guy who changed the style of Oscar de la Hoya, I used to train those 2 kids. So I knew that Cholain Rivero was a great trainer, and I knew that if he was putting his eye on those guys, he was for something. So I flew into Guadalajara to try to look for them.
Hey, Fernando, how did you, since you were a little boy, did you always have a love for boxing? How did that happen?
From Julio Cesar Chavez. When I was a little boy, nobody knew who in my school. Nobody knew who Julio Cesar Chavez was. So I was a little boy, and I started reading, and I started buying the Ring magazine and everything.
Yeah. Ring Mundial.
1984. Mm-hmm. In 84, he beat Azabache Martinez. In 87, he unified with Edwin El Chapo Rosario. In 90, he beat Taylor. So I know all his career, his entire career. And he was my idol. And, people was following my students, the guys that I study with, they were following Michael Jordan or a quarterback or something like that. And I was following Julio Cesar Chavez as a role model, as an idol.
Yeah.
So that's how my interest in boxing started. And honestly, it was only as a fan. And then I got the opportunity to do a show with the sport that I love. So I did a show, I failed in the show, and then I started doing different type of things, to don't fail again, to get sponsorships, get television, get a lot of things to don't fail again.
You mentioned Oscar earlier, the De La Hoya, the style and so forth. But as we're hearing now, you are in collaboration with Golden Boy for the 2021 to bring some great fights. Is that correct?
Yes, Oscar has been always my friend. And by the way, I congratulate him. Today's his birthday.
Oh, wow.
Happy birthday, Oscar.
Yeah.
And I congratulate Oscar De La Hoya on his birthday. And he's a good friend because, my mentor, Robert Arum, was the promoter of Oscar De La Hoya, and he made Oscar De La Hoya. So honestly, it was a great ride to be very close in the career of Oscar, because I used to see him in all his fights, and a great fighter, and now he's a great promoter, and I have a strategic partnership with him, with Jaime Munguia. And we're looking to bring Munguia against probably Triple G. We're talking with them, and if it's not Triple G, we will make sure that Jaime Munguia will be in the ring at the Zone on April.
Awesome.
Fernando, you've been in the business since 1993. Yes. And how many world champions have you had through Zanfer Boxing since 1993?
40,
I know you know that answer.
43.
43 world champions.
Yeah.
Did you ever think when you were a young man growing up in Tijuana that you were going to be one day one of the most successful and promoters that Mexico has ever had, and the United States? You are very well respected, not only in the United States, in the Philippines, international promoter. Did that thought ever come to mind that someday you were going to be where you're at today?
Honestly, no. But every day, what inspires me is the prospects. Because once you make a world champion, he's gonna last as long as he wants. If he take care of himself, he trains correctly, if he does live a good life outside of the ring, the champion can be for a long time. But what really moves me, what really inspires me is the guys who are hungry and who wants to go into the top, and I can be very helpful, and I can like administrate their careers and go all the way into a world championship. That really inspires me. And I never thought that I was gonna be in the Philippines, as you said, in a press tour with Juan Manuel Marquez and Manny Pacquiao, me as the promoter of Marquez, Bob as the promoter of Pacquiao. I never thought that I was gonna beat my mentor with Marquez when Marquez knocked out Pacquiao. And there was 4 great fights with them, a great trilogy with Morales, with Manny Pacquiao. So it was Jorge Solis fought Pacquiao. So we were with Manny Pacquiao also was a great ride. And being in the Philippines in a press tour was sensational. Being in Japan with Fernando Montiel, beating Hasegawa and those those world champions, and I'm beating world champions and everything, and go all the way to Japan and conquest the title. That was sensational experience, sensational being a part of that group. And honestly, it's been a great ride.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, Fernando, on behalf of all the boxing fans here in America, and I'll venture to say throughout the world, we want to thank you. I've never met Bob Arum, nor have I ever met Oscar De La Hoya, but I've met you, and you're a unique man because you have a true love, a true passion, not only for the art of boxing, not only for the sport of boxing, but for the boxer. I've seen you among your boxers, and I see they all have utmost respect for you because they know that they have somebody that truly cares for them. Thank you for entertaining my father, who's now with the Lord, my grandfather, my family. Thank you for entertaining us. Jaime, you had another question.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. I know that another legendary fighter out of Tijuana, Raul Jibaro Perez. And I used to love watching Jibaro, and I also used to love watching Mantecas, Medina.
Yes.
Are you doing anything? Because I know Jibaro's started his own little promotional company, right?
Yes, promotional company, plus he's a great trainer and he knows what he's doing. I think he grew up in boxing. He knows he's got a lot of experience, and not long time from now, he's gonna represent a lot of champions.
Awesome.
I'm sure about that. And love the way he fought also Manuel Medina. And thank you guys. Thank you very much for your words, David. And honestly, it's been that really inspired us to continue and to try to be better and to try to take care of the fighters, try to accomplish their dreams.
Yeah.
Because every fighter who goes into the ring, who makes his pro debut, they are looking up to the world champions and try to be there. It's a long run, but you need to be very dedicated and have the right people around you to go there. But thank you very much for your words.
Yeah.
Guys.
Thank you.
And you know what, Fernando? One last word. I just want to remind you that your dream became a reality. And like I told you before, my father, who's now in heaven with the Lord, he enjoyed your boxing matches. He enjoyed everything that you've done has not been in vain. There's a lot of true boxing fans that love your promotional company, love everything that you've done. Y muchas gracias del corazón, Fernando. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Sí. Very inspired words. And honestly, thank you guys. And I hope I can be with you guys again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We look forward.
Invite me again, and I'm here again.